Hey guys, so over the years that I have had my YouTube channel, a few years, I've gone through a lot of trial and error with my fine natural hair. I've shared some tips and different tricks and ideas and things that work for me. Some people are receptive, most people are receptive to some of the tips that I share. However, sometimes people, they question certain things because either my intent did not come across clearly or they just disagreed, and that's fine. Everybody's hair is different. I know what my hair responds to. My hair is begin to seriously flourish, especially during this time of the pandemic. And I think the real thing is just I'm not really doing that much to it. I've kept my hair in braids for almost 2 months, which is like virtually unheard of for me. Now, granted, I did wash it and I did everything to keep it strong and moisturized. But anyway, that is not the point of this video. The proof is in the pudding. And I look forward to gaining more length. What I wanted to share with you guys today is somewhat like a short guide to maintaining healthy, fine, natural hair. I'm not an expert, but again, I'm sharing things that I find that are really effective. And I noticed that some of my other sisters who have fine, natural hair, they do a lot of these things as well. Now, before y'all get any ideas, I'm not going to like demonstrate every single thing in this video. This is more of a talk through because I have faith in you guys that you'll get it on your own. And if the truth be told, I'm just lazy right now and I don't feel like doing all this extra recording. But these are things that I have done in my hair and I know that they work. But I'm going to describe them as clearly as I possibly can. As you may know, all things start with your scalp. Without a healthy scalp, it doesn't really matter what your hair type is. You're not going to achieve the best hair possible unless you have a healthy scalp. So you need to find out what works for your scalp. And the reason I say that is because yes, we can stimulate our scalp with massages and we can make sure that our scalp is clarified from dirt clogging it up. But even to that, you need to find like what oils work for your scalp. For some people, they don't like oils on their scalp. I personally prefer jojoba oil on the scalp because it is much like the sebum that comes from your scalp anyway. It's as close to your natural sebum as you're going to get. Then you're going to want to make sure that you develop a regimen that is specific for your hair type. While you may have fine natural hair, you may have fine high density hair, you may have fine low porosity hair or high porosity hair. What products work for me may not work for you. I like that Shea Moisture came out with that line for high porosity hair and line for low porosity hair. You may not be a Shea Moisture fan, and if you're not, what you could do and take away from what they did is the type of ingredients that they use. I have predominantly low porosity hair. I have some normal porosity sections, which is very, very odd to me that you could have more than one porosity on your head, but it's a fact. Like, this part of my hair is very, very low porosity. It's also the kinkiest part of my hair. Whereas down below here, I mean, moisture it takes easily. It's just normal. Like it is what it is. But developing a regimen for you, determining the cleansers that work for you, the conditioners that work for you, the sealants and stylers that work for you, is developing a regimen. And unfortunately, while there are many YouTubers who can say like, oh, you should use this product, this works, and use that product and that works, and I can agree and attest that I've done that, at the end of the day, you might have to go through some trial and error to develop your hair regimen. Moisture and protein. I know protein is a sensitive topic in the natural hair community. Some people say, oh, I don't never need to use protein. And you do get protein from your diet. That is true. But for those of us with really fine strands, protein is nothing but good for our hair. It helps build up a layer of protection on the hair, and it temporarily fills in gaps that are easily created in fine hair because we don't have really hefty strands. We don't have every layer of the cuticle. There's, the medulla, the I forget all the names of those sections, but I know the innermost layer. Fine strands are typically lacking in it, and I'm blanking on the word. I'm going to put it on the screen because I'm blanking on it right now. However, ensuring that you have an adequate balance of protein and moisture in your hair is what's really going to help it to be the strongest, the healthiest, and get to the length and, you know, the goals that you achieve for your hair. Trim when needed. Yes, I know there's some will say you need to trim your hair every 6 to 8 weeks. You need to trim your hair every 3 months. You need to trim your hair every time you see a split. Guess what? A split on your hair is never going to travel all the way up the hair shaft. It'll break off before it even makes it up the hair shaft. You know, you may find that you get a split in the mid shaft. You may find that you get splits on the end. But here's another thing. Splitting is just really wear and tear on your hair. Like, you know, it happens. Even if you don't do anything that could damage your hair, like using heat or tools, it just happens. It's natural wear and tear. And you know, you may see a split on your end, or you may see a split in your shaft, and you don't have to go all crazy and just start cutting hair, especially if you're trying to maintain any length. For me right now, what I'm noticing is that the search and destroy method is really good for fine hair, because sometimes your hair may appear damaged, like it needs a trim, and it's really not. It's just that the hairs are so thin, and sometimes the hairs are growing in. Every hair is growing at a different rate, so you may be getting some new hair growth coming in, and you look, oh, this is a split, or this is a broken hair, let me cut it, because you know it's not the same length as the rest of the hair. And I'm just here to say that, like, I don't co-sign to that. Search and destroy method is great for just looking, you know, on wash day, maybe every other wash day, to see if you have any damage that could cause, you know, future damage. You know, you want to mitigate damage. So if one hair or two hairs have split ends that are causing the rest of the hair to tangle, then absolutely you should trim them out. But if you're trying to retain length, I don't think it's necessary to do all that trimming on such a consistent basis, because you'll be trimming out the very hair or the very amount of hair that you just grew. Like, especially if you wear curly hair and you wear your hair natural, it doesn't have to be perfectly even. It doesn't have to be perfectly unsplit, to be honest. You know, I know that may be controversial, but you know, if you like the way your hair looks, if it's, my hair is falling pretty, it's not even, it's never going to be even. I've cut it even and it just grew back uneven. It is the way it is. I'm leaving it alone. But I say all that to say, my hair is falling at pretty much, you know, in the same, you know, to the same point, for the exception of some natural layers, and I'm okay with that. Do I have splits? Yup, I sure do. And you know, I'm going to trim them out eventually. Right now I'm on this hair growth challenge, so I'm leaving them for now. My ends don't look that worse for wear. I'm not going to trip out over it. You know, so just embrace your hair. Like, yes, trim it, you know, if it's severely damaged, but don't let anyone tell you how often you need to trim your hair. And last but not least, and I told y'all this is a simple guide. Just really limit or even eliminate the use of chemicals and heat. Yes, I know I use heat on my hair, but it's actually, I'm not even gonna say I use heat. I use the blow dryer on my hair on a very cool setting to stretch it. And you know, for the most part, I don't even do that very often. I was doing it once a month, but then when the pandemic happened, I was like, I don't even feel like doing my hair. I'm gonna just braid it up, let it be, you know, alternate the braids with twists, just leave it alone. It doesn't have to be stretched with a dryer now, because the twists and the braids are actually stretching my hair naturally. So I would just say, for fine hair especially, a lot of heat is not good. Actually, no heat is really good for fine strands, because they're so easily broken. If you put heat, if you're going to use a dryer, then use cool air, and not too often, because it still requires a bit of manipulation. As far as chemicals go, honestly, I don't use any chemicals in my hair, because chemicals are very, very harsh. Heftier strands may be able to tolerate them now and again, and I'm not going to speak for people who have heftier strands. I'm speaking for me, someone with very fine hair. I have medium density hair. Some of my strands aren't as fine as others, but one thing I know is that anytime I've ever used a chemical in my hair, when I was relaxed even, my hair took a little bit of a beating. It did grow, don't get me wrong, but I had to really nourish and attend to it, which is as now, and let me sidebar, People are saying that like natural hair is so difficult to deal with, and I don't presume to know anybody else's struggle. What I do know is that my natural hair is actually easier to deal with than when it was relaxed, because it had so many needs when it was relaxed. I couldn't skip a deep conditioning when my hair was relaxed, let me tell you. Now I can skip the deep conditioning. I can just put some leave-in conditioner and be good, because my hair in its own state is healthier overall. When you relax it, or when you put chemical coloring in your hair, it just really, 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 it kind of shocks the hair, you know. I don't know what other word to use, but it kind of shocks the hair. It's not in a state that it was in. Now, some people use color like rinses that do a temporary deposit on the strands. I think those are a lot less damaging than permanent colors and dyes and peroxides. Like, I would never ever ever do that, because I want to keep my hair on my head. So anyway, that was my little sidebar. But yeah, this is the simplest guide I can possibly share with you for your fine natural hair. Start with your scalp, develop a regimen, have moisture and protein balance, trim as needed, search and destroy method is great, and limit the use of heat, eliminate the use of chemicals in your fine strands. And I truly and truly believe that you will find that your hair is better off. This is like the best possible tips I can give you. Now, yes, we want to do our deep conditioning. That is included in the whole moisture process, but we'll save that for another video, and I'm sure you already know it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I would be happy to share anything that I do with my hair, because honestly, you know, we're here to help each other. Thank you so much for watching, and have a very blessed day.